was hoping to play against Team Udyr in the finals. That way it could be like run back of season 1 semis.
Like our match against SGR was so close. I think it got everyone in our team really fired up, continuing in the losers bracket, honestly.
I think they're all good players, but unfortunately because I haven't played them, I don't really know how to evaluate them.
We hadn't really felt like there was that much of a challenge. That loss really hit us hard.
Huge Dark Harvest stack coming out as it does so much damage, and that is going to be a Shen going down as well. That is an easy Baron pickup at this point.
Yeah, when I first played Bob Joan in season 1, he played Malphite top, and he was just spamming Control 3 in lane, and he ended that game like 0-11.
I'm really sad we didn't get to play them during the regular season. He was the first person I played against in FOF. And I think I went 0-11 on Malphite, so I was really hungry for that rematch.
Torres and I would just dive him. We were just confused. We thought he was honestly running it down in a tournament.
I respect them all a lot, and I'm excited for the games.
I feel like Ace, like they were in the driver's seat for so long, but they just kept like getting cocky. They kept making plays.
It seemed like they had a really tough time early in the season, and were constantly swapping their roster around and not playing together well at all, honestly. But now, with the way they're currently trying to do things, it seems a lot more successful, and they've really started to get a grasp on things.
A good flash from the Annie is going to get two of them down instantaneously. That's going to be the bot lane going down. Gunsees rocking with his tail between his leg. That's going to be Renekton from the background. Renekton's going to come into this fight from the back. Good TP from him.
The best of 5 is definitely going to be grueling. Team Ace looks honestly like the best team in the tournament at this point from what we've seen.
They're trying to really improve and go all out, especially after that's like rough season 2. So yeah, I mean, Bob Joan is a funny guy.
We're feeling like we're at a pretty similar level, so it should be a good series no matter what, but people are definitely prepping for it.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Friend or Foe Esports Playoffs. Winners round 2, and today we have a best of 5 series with Team 8Click and Team Udyr. Game number 1, we're starting the series with Ace on the blue side and Udyr starting red. I'm hoping to see a spicy series tonight, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Whirler, and my partner in crime with me tonight is Asum.
Look, I know you want a spicy series, but we already heard the predictions we had on Lounge earlier. I think this is Udyr 3-0 all the way, and we'll have to see how it bears out. But the fact that we're already drawing bans for Soximus Lilia on the first rotation is a pretty good sign for them, and Vambient's Annie being banned is exactly what I wanted to see.
Definitely so. That Vambient has gotten Annie one too many times in this tournament in general. It's very scary when I see Annie on Vambient on Annie, rather. Or Annie in general in this series. I feel like, what is Annie? Does Annie actually have 100% win rate in this tournament? I'm not too sure.
She might. I think a substantial fraction of those games are Vambient. There might be 1 or 2 non-Vambient Annie games, and I think it's 1 every game that I watched at least. So I'm not sure what that says, but Vambient's definitely really insane at the champion, so I would not give it to him even if the champion weren't particularly strong. And they are going to rather pick him Corki. I don't know how I feel about that one. Blinding Corki is pretty exploitable. We'll have to see what they pick into it, though.
Definitely so. Corki, I haven't seen too much, especially in recent time. I feel like he would be okay, especially with the right team. Matching a Volibear and Tristana, though, the Tristana, if it's, for example, Tristana mid, because you can flex this champion either which way, I would say it's a pretty tough matchup for Corki, no?
I imagine it's pretty difficult. I've been trying to get Big Twig to play Tristana mid for like the entire season, but I don't think he's practiced it still, so I imagine that has to be going bot lane for Photograph at this point, unless Bob Jones is going to take it in top lane. On the other hand, I think the Volibear definitely can go either top or jungle, so there's a little bit of flexibility there. We are seeing the Vladimir picked up, which wasn't banned in the first round because there was already so much pressure on the bans. This is something we also mentioned on the Lounge, but there's so many things that Ace have to ban from Udyr here because there's so many of these picks that are really scary. So they opted to ban the Lilia, Draven, Thresh, and they left up Vladimir for Big Twig, which is honestly the one that I'd be most concerned about aside from maybe the Draven. I think that, you know, he's just so much better on Vladimir than every other champ he's on. Like, I mean, he's looked good on Silas too and Seraphine, but he is basically a Vladimir one-trick with hundreds more games on Vladimir than any other champ. So it's pretty scary giving that to him, and I hope they have an answer prepared other than this Corki because I don't think that's going to be enough.
Definitely so. Good way to start off the series with comfort picks. It definitely helps alleviate a little bit of the nerves that you get going into the tournament. Not too bad, though, I would say, into the matchup. I would say it's definitely better. In Corky's case, it's better than going against Tristana. It's still going to be a little rough, though, but it's definitely more playable. And I would say around Varus and Tom Kench, we have a little bit of an interesting comp going on here. More poke than anything else. The team fighting so far doesn't seem to be there, aside to help match the Corky.
Yes, the question is if Corky can even get into this game. He hasn't have to scale for quite a while, and I think even once he scales up, Vladimir will outscale him. So there's only going to be a very small window where Corky will be stronger than Vladimir in this game, unless he's pretty far accelerated ahead of the Vladimir. And to find that window, I think Corky's going to have to go for something like the Divine Sunder build to take advantage of that mid-game spike. If he's going for the Shield Bow Essence Reaver build, then he's going to have a really hard time, because once he hits that 3-item spike, Vladimir's already going to be at a point where he's outscaled him. And while Corky can still be impactful in the team fights, he'll definitely do a lot of work against stuff like the Volibear. I don't think it'll be enough with Vladimir being able to one-shot him. And honestly, the Varus Tom Kench is decent answer Tristana in lane, but the support pick hasn't been picked up yet, and so they can still answer it. I don't know how I feel with the Alistar. I would have liked to see the Blitzcrank come out. I think it's a really strong counter pick into the Tom Kench, but I'll have to see how Ntunes looks on this pick. I haven't seen a ton of it, but I imagine that they're just going for this kill lane bot lane with the Tristana Alistar. I think even with the Tom Kench Varus being a pretty safe lane, you can still look to blow up the Tom Kench.
Oh, absolutely. And we got the last two picks coming out here for Team 8-Click, coming in about 10 seconds here. Still have the top laner, still have the jungler on the table. How are they going to round up this comp? So far, we have a Xin Zhao pickup. That's a spicy pick if I've ever seen one. Just coming back into the meta.
A pick that's really been rising in priority recently, and I think it's actually in a really strong position right now. It's been getting a lot more priority in pro play, and even in solo queue, it's getting a lot more play. It's just generally considered a really, really strong pick at the moment. There's quite a bit of versatility in the builds. It's not anything you want, but there's at least options, and I think it's definitely a strong pick in pretty much any composition that you have the opportunity to kind of play that front line diving in. I think that on the other hand, I mean, not having the Blitzcrank here is going to hurt them quite a bit against stuff like this, and I should point out that it was banned, so they couldn't have picked it up on R4 here, but at the same time, I wonder if they need to take it earlier in the draft, honestly, after seeing the Tom Kench lock in. I don't really know what else they could have looked for here besides... well, I guess they couldn't have, so... At that point, I think they're in a pretty rough spot in terms of picking that support pick, and we'll have to see what Alistar can do here, because it can get very difficult into the Xin Zhao and the Gwen, and that kind of front line just shredding through the Alistar. And it's going to come down a lot to whether Tristana can stay safe and free fire into these fights, and he can survive the Xin Zhao long enough. And
the Yone
is a good answer, though.
The Yone top to answer the Gwen pick. That's a nice one right there. Everything in this draft seems like both teams are in it to win it. I feel like this is already going against our 3-0 prediction for Udyr, starting off with this game. I feel like the only thing Ace have against themselves right now is the synergy between their champions. But aside from that, it looks like it's a pretty solid draft with Team Udyr, I would say, getting a little bit of this advantage with some good counter picks.
Yeah, honestly, I think that I generally tend to favor cohesiveness of a draft over getting a particular priority pick unless there's something really broken in the meta, and V1 Corkys are definitely not it. So in this draft, despite the fact that I feel like Xin Zhao and Gwen are sort of independently very strong, and even Varus is very strong, it's not really going to make a huge difference in terms of the way that their team plays the game. And because there's such this split comp of having to go in with the Xin Zhao and the Gwen and wanting to really stay back and poke with the Corky and the Varus and the Tom Kench, I think it makes it very difficult for them to really play 5v5s or even 4v4s if they want to leave Gwen aside. They could try to play 1-3-1 with the poke in mid lane, and I think that's maybe the only option for them, because otherwise Udyr is just going to roll them in these team fights. Not to mention all the comfort picks they'll pick up with Tristana for Photograph, the Vladimir for Big Twig, and the Yone for Bob Joan.
Absolutely, it's looking pretty good. I'm liking how this series is going so far, and I'm excited to see how it all unfolds. One thing I do want to see from this game is Big Twig on the main. I want to see big things come out of him, and he's in a matchup where he can shine. He's in a matchup where he, well, I would hope, having so many games on that champion, knows exactly what he's doing and how he can get himself into this game, see what he can do in team fights, and how he can make mid lane pressure work for his team. Because with a Volibear in the jungle, it's not the most synergy you've ever seen, but I've seen Vlad and Volibear do things together, and if both of them are or have the ball rolling, it looks pretty good. What do you think?
I mean, it definitely could be pretty scary if they're able to get ahead, and I think even if they don't get ahead, again, Vladimir's going to outscale most of the team from Ace here. I think really there are chances to kill him, obviously, if you lock him down with like a Bear Assault, or you could survive the initial burst, but I mean, Vladimir late game just gets so scary, and I'm not sure it's going to be enough with how many squishy targets he has here between the Varus, the Corki, even the Xin Zhao being relatively squishy unless you opt for a really tanky build. And on the other hand, like, I think Gwen has to do a lot of work in this game to really make it work against all these melee champions, and burst limit up in this really volatile matchup against Bob Joan. I really expect Bob Joan to be able to win out the Yone versus Gwen matchup on top side, but we'll have to see how it goes this time, because obviously there is some of that Season 1 history. I remember being in that game when Bob Joan went 0-11 on Malphite or something into burst limits Aurelia, and we'll see if things have changed.
Definitely so. And I believe, are we ready to get into game number 1? This one's looking pretty good, ladies and gentlemen, and we are rolling out onto the Rift. It's looking like it's going to be a 5-point. No spicy invades to start. Sort of normal starts going around on everyone's corner, except for the Dark Seal on Vladimir. He's a little confident. We got a longsword start here for Varus on this game.
Yeah, so this is actually a very common start for Varus going lethality. It really makes your early item spikes come online a decent amount quicker because you're not really stopping for a Doran's item, as well as being able to get the additional health push on the early lane helps a decent amount. If you end up taking a pretty bad trade, you can sustain back up, and you'll out-sustain them because you have 2 more health pots than someone who started Doran's Blade. And it takes quite a while for the Omnivamp for Doran's Blade to really make up for that. So if you're looking for these bursty trades, they can do a lot there. I think the real big thing to look out for here is going to be this jungle matchup, though. Both these junglers really want to be getting a lot done in the early game between the Volibear wanting to make these early skirmishes happen around the Scuttle Crabs. He should win out individually against the Xin Zhao, but the 2v2 can get very scary. And meanwhile, on the top side, okay.
We have a little bit of a 1v1 going on over here. Bob Joan taking a half health. He's not going to go into down. He's not going to bust any summoners either, and neither will burst limit. No committing to the ignite just yet. Very
really
well played.
Recall from Bob Joan, though. He's going to have to come back to lane with full HP after this recall, but he's going to end up being really late because he recalled so late on the wave, and he's going to actually miss some of the minions in this first wave. So he'll be down XP to burst limit, and burst limit can really exploit that on his level 2 push, even onto level 3. So we'll have to see if Bob Joan can play safe until he's able to recover some of the XP difference.
Definitely so. It's looking pretty good so far for burst limit up there on the Gwen. Knocking out the Yone pretty early bot lane, getting a good early push, looking like Tristana things just happening. In the mid lane, we saw Vambiant getting pushed back a little bit. Vladimir with the push strats, you'd love to see it. Taking the Ignite this time around, no TPs on the mid laners. They're looking for blood.
I don't know why Vambiant took Ignite. I don't think there's any situation he should have kill pressure in this lane, but I guess he really just thinks he's going to be outplaying Big Twig really hard or something.
Definitely. Let's see what he can do with that. Antunes hitting level 2, walking up for the Q. It's going to go wide, though. Photographs taking half. So Sad Sam's getting some good autos in here, starting off a good trade for the bot lane. I like to see it. I definitely like to see it. Unfortunately, Antunes did miss that engage just a little bit, but it should be coming back up, so we'll see what happens on that. Bob Joan getting a good trade onto burst limit, taking him back for all that pressure you applied to him in the early start of this game.
Yeah, just heavy trading across the map. And on this bot side, we can really see how the range difference between the Varus and the Alistar Tristana lanes making a pretty big difference in these early laning trades. And I think it's very difficult for them to punish him right now because they are so safe with this Varus Tom. But I think once they get some more levels, there's definitely the opportunity to burst them. But Photograph really needs to play safe because if he's too low, he can't go in anymore. And I think he's already at that point where there's nothing that's going to be able to happen on bot side until his first back. And meanwhile, Bob Jones kind of caught out here on this gank.
Definitely so. Forcing the flash out of Bob Jones. Orblue coming around the corner. He's going to get the knock up in her tower, but I don't think
this dive is a little overforced, though.
Oh my goodness. Burst limit's getting the kill on the under the tower. It's not going to be enough. He's actually going to be running out of HP as well, so it will be a trade in the top lane. Let's watch this again.
So I think they overcommit to this. Once they end up going under the tower here, Burst Limit can't take aggro. If he goes under and takes aggro, I think trading the first blood's okay, but dying here is not super great because of the wave position. He didn't actually crash the wave before he killed him, and so the wave's going to slow push back out from what I can see unless Din's able to pull it. I can't quite see what happened on top side there, so we can't see what happened to the wave position, but they're both going to end up TPing back. I think Bob Joe can hold his TP, though, because the wave is actually in okay position.
Soximus getting the flash Q onto Vambiant, forcing the flash out of him. They're just going to trade flashes there. Vambiant getting out of that one alive. That could have been bad for him.
Yeah, so I mean, all around the map, it sort of ends up being roughly even. Obviously, First Blood Guild going over to Burst Blood ends up putting Ace just a little bit ahead, but again, this game is really going to come down to these 2v2 and 3v3 skirmishes in the early game and not so much these ganks on the early lanes unless someone snowballs really hard. So I really want to see what can happen, especially around these mid 2v2s, and Volibear is out farming the Xin considerably so far. He's actually out cleared by about a camp and a half right now, and He's even going to get the shove in to help Bob Joan here so the wave can't get frozen on him. This is really good. And it should put Bob Joan in a much better position to continue playing the lane rather than having to worry about getting ganked again.
Oh, yes. And So Sad Sam getting a good push under Photograph and Antunes. Definitely going to help them in a 2v2 sense, especially since the red jungler is top lane right now, and it was confirmed. They're more than welcome to play this up for now. Vladimir back as well. There's no shot that they're going to be punished for this. Antunes with the flash going to knock up Varus, put him under tower. That's going to force the flash heal out of him. Photograph doing the same, but he's going to go down. 1 HP on So Sad Sam. No Winion kill for Photograph. Sam's going to get a clean kill on that one. Very well played to get out of the tower with only taking 1 shot. Photograph. Oh, that's got to suck for him.
Yeah, really good from So Sad Sam. Made sure he used the health potions. That way he would keep the HP ticking during the fight. Ended up staying alive because of that extra healing. On the other hand, First Limit got baited. He's going to die here.
First Limit getting a little bit too antsy. However, he does clutch out a kill onto Yone. Max stack Q is going to scissor him up, and he's going to be cut down to 0 HP.
Yeah, that's really bad for the top side for Udyr now. I think Bob Joan definitely just needed to walk away once he was able to get the volley bearer into the lane, and ends up greeting, not realizing he can die from that HP value. He was in lethal range for a single Q, and Burst Limit trades onto him. He's now down a substantial amount of XP and CS. He had to burn the TP back to lane, which Burst Limit does not have. So the 1-for-1 ends up being favorable for him on terms of the wave position, but ultimately it's still pretty bad because Soxma spent so much time topside trying to make that gank work and put him in a favorable position, and ends up being basically neutral. Toxmus has now lost the lead he had in the jungle as well. Only up 3 CS, about 1 camp here. And yeah, things are looking pretty tough for Udyr here.
Definitely so. We're getting some more skirmishes here in the top lane. Nobody is done here. Everyone wants some blood. And you know what? I think Gwen can play. That's going to be another Q. Burst Limit's going to cut him back down to 0. Wow.
I'm getting the Season 1 flashbacks right now. This is if I'm photographing this game, this is like pretty much what it felt like at the time. Is, you know, you're in your lane, things are going all right. You know, maybe you like trade a couple kills back and forth, and then press tab, and your top laner's just chain dying.
We got a gang coming in over here. Sword Blue being sneaky. They have no idea this is happening. Are they going to get a good angle for this, though? I have no idea. Zintel's still off to the side.
The other side of the lane, though, making sure they respect the fact that they don't know where he is. And they actually are going to rotate for this dragon. I think it's almost an accidental gank avoid.
That was interesting. We got Big Twig with the flash ulti in the top lane. Burst Limit. Oh, no.
He's just going to die here. There's nothing he can do.
Bob Joan coming back to lane for a 4th time, and he's actually going to be going down here. You got to come back home someday, sir. It's your time, and it's now. And one more auto attack will be it. Burst Limit should get out of this one alive. However, the red team are going to trade over a dragon for his troubles. Burst Limit, you're taking a little bit too much tower shots, and he's out.
Yeah, that is going to be the dragon picked up for Udyr, though. Soxmas recognizes that he can actually take it right here. It has the bot lane shove and Photograph and Antunes rotate. Even though Zin's bot side, he was sitting in the lanes, but he didn't have a chance to actually walk up and contest it. And that is going to be okay for Udyr. I think really playing to the soul win condition is one of the big things for them this game, because Cloud is coming up the next dragon, which means the soul will be either Infernal or Mountain, both of which will pretty much be... I mean, it should make the team fights almost unwinnable for the other team unless there's a substantial gold lead. And I think that is what they need to play to at this point.
Sword Blue back down in the bot lane, pressuring Antunes and Photograph off the wave. No push going on for here.
Photograph is down 23 CS right now. This bot lane's going really poorly for them, and even though this wave is coming into them, there's a decent amount to be picked up. He's still going to be down at least 20 CS after this, and I mean, across the board, the only one place that Udyr is really winning in this is this mid lane where Big Twig has his Vladimir, and I think the game's going to come down a lot to him.
So Sad Sam's getting a little bit too aggressive over here. He's walking up. He's going to get Alistair comboed, and the E from Tristan is going to be enough to pick him up. Photograph, 1 HP, but not going to go down.
That is really big for Udyr here. Getting your bot side back into the game in this position is really a big deal for them, and it now means that they have both bot and mid they can play to. Although Photograph's going to have to be careful to not get caught out by Zin here, because he is sitting in this bush, and they're going to try to shove the wave in since that they know the enemy AD carry is dead. They can deny this. I think Sword Blue is waiting for them to walk up, but they are going to play safe, and I think it ends up being totally fine. So, I don't know. As long as Bob Jones is able to kind of relax and stop chain dying topside, then Udyr are in a kind of stable position now. I think that Big Twig's now doing like pretty okay in this lane. He is taking some rough trades, but obviously his Vladimir's going to sustain through it, and it doesn't really end up mattering. So,
package coming out from Corky. He's busting him down. Big Twig is going to have to bust the ulti on here. It's going to heal him up a little bit. Is it going to be enough for him to live? It does.
Soxmas is here.
Flash Q from Bambi, not going to be enough to kill Big Twig. Does
matter.
go wide, but he's in a
He's
sticky
gonna die no matter
situation. Antunes is here, gets the knockup
He
on
should try to give
Bambi.
this over to Soximus if he can, but I don't know if he will be able to.
Vambian running for his life. The flash smite from Soximus is going to be enough to secure it for him, and that's going to be Vambian a little too ambitious, trying to kill Big Twig, but doesn't succeed and pays the price.
I'm not 100% sure if it's worth Soximus bringing the flash just to take the kill there, but it is still nice for him to pick it up. Obviously, it's nice to have gold on the volley bear. Being accelerated on volley bear is pretty important for him to be relevant in the game going into the mid game because he does need to be ahead in this game. And the volley bear Vladimir combo is definitely a lot more potent now.
Definitely so. In the top lane, it's looking still pretty ahead for Burst Limit. Still doing good trades on Bob Jones. Bob Jones taking the half.
There's a chance he could go
He's
down.
getting the ulti out on
Burst
Limit. Burst Limit's going to be trouble here. Soximus up in the top lane out to help Bob Jones. Bob Jones taking a 1 HP. He's going to have to get out of that fight. Burst Limit's turning this 1v2
here, so now they can get
his favor.
Super scary.
One more scissor clip could be enough. He's 1 HP, and Zinzao with the flash E under tower. Burst Limit taking one more for him. Sword Blue is very low. I don't think it's going to be enough. This is a sticky situation here in the top lane. Yone, 1 HP. He almost gets it, but Sword Blue is going to take him out. Ulti from Tristana in the bot lane. She's going to get rooted. Both of them are 1 HP. This is pretty sticky under here. Antunes is running, and I don't think he can save this one. Vesper, I don't think you can get this. They're going to walk away here, but the stun from this Vesper is going to be enough to stun him up, but the flash out, Antunes is going to be alive. Photograph Wing out. Oh, it's so close. That Q didn't hit. That would have been a kill, but alas, after that bloodbath in the bot lane, it's going to be Photograph getting out alive. Vesper is not done here.
Still a complete disaster for Udyr, but thankfully Botside doesn't die there, and it's all right for them.
Hate to see it. Alistair, we're taking a 1 HP once again. He's going to go down. Soximus is now in the bot lane. This could be bad for Team Ace's bot lane. Ace getting a good poke on the Photograph. Photograph going to be taking a 1 HP. He has the W. He's going to jump on Vesper. 2 more autos, and the tower shot is going to be enough to take Vesper down. And Volibear is going to take him for himself. And in the mid lane, it's going to be Big Twig taking down Vambian solo. That's going to be very good for Team Udyr. They're back in this game, and they're ready to win.
Yeah, that's so big for them. I mean, Bob Jones is still super far behind Burst Limit, but it now is completely on this Gwen Zinzao duo to carry this game because bot lane and mid lane are going to be super far behind after this. Photograph's going to pick up plates as well. Solo on this Tristana ends up getting 160 gold from that as well. So then ends up being basically he's at 2 kills plus the 1 plate, so another half a kill, and he's actually down 30 CS. So some of that is neutralized, but he's still ahead of the Varus. And I think once the game keeps going with this Vladimir being ahead now, Varus is going to have a really hard time playing the game in general, regardless of how many items he has, because he is going for lethality here. He's going to have basically no defensive stats as an AD carry, and we've all been in that position as an AD carry where you just are up against a Vladimir, and no matter how fed you are, it just doesn't matter, because he's just going to one-shot you with pool and takes no damage. It's just so difficult to play against. I don't know what they can really do about it, other than making sure that Gwen can carry the game.
Definitely so. Big Twig.
Here she comes, so we'll see what they end up doing for this Herald, because they are going to pop it here, but they have the Gwen to follow up on it, so maybe they can protect the tower.
Going to be going in on this one. Vambian going a little bit forward. He doesn't want to let this happen to his own tower, but I don't think he has a choice in this scenario. Blue team getting the Dragon solo for here, or it's actually going to be all 3 of them. They're walking up. Sword Blue's going around. I'm not too sure if they're going to be able to fight this, but he's here and he's ready to fight. Soximus is going to get jumped on by Zinzao. He's going to get stunned up. Sword Blue. It was Horde Blue popping the ulti. I don't think he's going to be able to get out of this one alive. Knockup from Alistair into an ulti from Volibear. He's 1 HP. He's almost out of there, and I think he's alive. Soximus taken low. Not dead quite yet. Vambian Wing forward. They're going to get the finished kill on him. Big Twig 1 HP. He's going to go down as well. Photograph in the background, though. Vesper is taking 1. She gets the reset. She's going to jump on back, and over in the top lane, Bob Jones trying to get out of here. He's not going to get out alive. First Limit's taken low. They're going to trade a kill over there.
That's completely worse for Bob Jones. That's a huge shutdown going over.
That's going to be 2. That's 4 for 2 for Team Ace. They are in the lead in kills once again in fights. Very good fight. Split all across the map. Hype as heck.
That's 4 for 2. It might be a little more if Photograph's able to get onto me, can't. But honestly, in terms of the entire map state, that's basically even for Udyr, because Bob Jones was able to trade on to Burst Limit on the top side, because that was a huge shutdown going over to him. I think that was 600 gold. So they only end up losing about 1 kill off that fight, and they are going to continue scaling. So I think they still definitely have a chance to stay in this game, really enable this Vladimir to carry them. And even on the bot side, Tristana is getting pretty fed now. Actually picked up a kill in that last fight.
Sword Blue out of position once again, way too far in the enemy jungle. He's not going to be able to get out of this one.
Another shutdown going over to Yone. That's another 450 gold, and now Bob Jones is way back into this game. In fact, he might even be ahead of Burslim in terms of how much gold he has at this point. He's only down 30 CS, but the kills are pretty close, and 2 of those kills were those big shutdowns. I think he's just going to pick up Shield Bow on this reset, and he honestly could be working towards getting a decent number of the components for that Infinity Edge as well.
Definitely so. That's going to be very good. No get out of jail free card for Xin Zhao this time around. Ulti did just come back up. That's a lot of gold coming back for Team Udyr, though. Despite being down so far earlier, they're catching up by all these mistakes that A-Click are making.
Yeah, I mean, this is the classic Ace gameplay, right? Like, we kind of saw it throughout the regular season, and even playoffs is just like, they have good players, but sometimes they just coin flip and randomly throw, and they're definitely showing it here. We talked about it on Lounge, and we're seeing it in game, and it's I don't know, it's somehow a consistent factor in every Ace games that somehow they'll find a way to make it close.
Definitely so. More fighting in the top lane. Bob Jones got a couple shutdowns, and he's high and mighty right now.
That far behind Burst Limit.
He is fighting Burst Limit. He is going in. He's 1 HP. I'm not sure anything else is going to happen after that.
This photograph.
Definitely so. We got bot lane from the blue side, transferring up to the bot, or to the top side, but in front of them, it's actually going to be Udyr's top side, or bot side there first. Burst Limit's in a sticky
Photograph's
situation.
Going to pick this up, and that's more gold
going to give it to Photograph. Photograph's going to go over here. Soximus coming down to the bot lane. Corky's going to have the W out of that one. Stays safe. Photograph getting some extra cash in his pocket.
Yeah, so we've really seen the development from Season 1. Bob Jones now developed the ability to feed his lane and then come back into the game rather than just letting the game end.
Ooh, flash in from Big Twig. He's looking to kill Vambiant here. Vambiant is going to get very low off of that one. Burst Limit's not going to go down quite yet. The W in the pool is enough, and a flash from Soximus is going to secure it. Photograph forces a splash out of this one after and it's going to be, he should get out alive after this one, but the snipe from Varus is going to take him down. That's a shutdown going in his pocket, and Sword Blue with the red buff's going to steal Antunes.
Yeah, good juggling of the turret aggro from Ace there on that dive, and the snipe from Varus is really good to pick up Photograph. So they do trade back into them across the map, and I mean, they are still in a pretty good position here. They're up 2,000 gold. They did manage to get one of the dragons. They're not on pressure for Soul right now. But we'll have to see what they're able to do with this advantage on top side, because Bob Jones is here, and he's actually still really strong. They have to burn the heal, and he might still kill him.
It's a good... Oh, the E is going to have to pull him back. Bob Jones.
Oh, my God.
Taken very low after that one. Doesn't get anything off of it. Burst Limit in the bot lane. They're going to pick up another Rift Herald on the top side.
Yeah, so first Rift Herald going over to OOD, and the second one's going to go over to Ace. We'll see if they can make anything of this. There should probably be one mid T1 falling down, or mid T2 falling down, if they actually manage to get on a good timing. But I don't know how effective it'll be at getting down that mid T2 if they don't get a good team fight beforehand, just because it's so difficult to pressure Udyr off of it with the Vladimir and the Tristana having the range to sustain to really clear that wave. And they're probably just going to look to fight somewhere, honestly. Ace's kind of classic thing to do all season has been looking for these random fights, and they are going to get the turret on bot side from Burst Limit. They are probably just going to end up rotating to mid and A-ramming it, I imagine, if they're playing against Udyr with Rift Herald. We'll have to see what they make of it, though, because, again, Rift Herald this late in the game can basically mean nothing if you don't use it correctly.
Definitely so. We got a dragon fight coming up here in about 6 seconds. Everyone's got everything they need except for the bot lane on Team Udyr. No ultis coming up just yet. They're close. We'll see if it makes a difference at the start of this fight.
Realistically, this fight should decide the game. I think whichever team wins this fight should.
Oh, and there's the engage. Antunes going in on the Vesper. Vesper caught out here. He's not tanky enough yet. He's going to go down immediately. And let's see how this fight transpires.
That's really big for Udyr too, because so much of the safety from the Ace comp gone, because the Tahm Kench no longer there to devour anyone who gets picked off. They won't be able to survive the sort of engage on Sword Blue like they did in the past, or anything onto the Varus here. So they are just going to have to concede the dragon. They can't fight. They're probably going to drop the Herald mid, look for the T2 on the trade, but they could get collapsed on here. And if they don't walk out through topside jungle, they could die.
Alrighty, they're going to W the Rift Herald away. It's still going to get the charge going down. That's going to be almost the tower going down. One more auto from it should do it in. Vambiant going to be the one to secure that. Vambiant's in a sticky situation, though. That auto might have been a little bit greedy. Bob Jones going for some damage. He's going to miss it. And Vambiant is actually out alive on that one. And I think we're going off on a callback for that team fight. I don't think anything's going to be happening.
Yeah, so they didn't actually end up fighting for the Mountain Drake.
Burst Limit could get caught here, though. That could be it, though. Oh, it's going to be a Antunes combo into the Volibear. He's going to get stunned up, and he's going to go down immediately. Burst Limit going a little bit too far for his own good.
I think OOD are actually ahead right now, even because they're down 3k gold, but they are on that second dragon. Next dragon will put them to soul point, and Mountain Dragons and Mountain Soul against this ace team composition does so much for them because they have these poke champions like the Corki and the Varus. If you have that Mountain Soul shield, it's basically going to do nothing, and it regenerates so quickly. So I think that Udyr just need to be looking to pressure for this soul point on the next dragon. Shouldn't fight until then. They can scale up on the Vladimir, scale up on the Tristana. Dione probably will have Infinity Edge done by the time that dragon comes up, and that's such a huge spike for him, hitting that 100% crit and the crit amp. So we'll see when Bob Joan ends up picking up the Infinity Edge. He might go for the Zeal first as well to try to rush the 100% crit. And I think Udyr are in a really good position now to actually fight these team fights around the dragons, because as you mentioned in the draft, even though Ace's team composition has a lot of strong champions, they can't really all play in the same style that they want to. So even though they have stuff like the Varus that's really far ahead, and the Corki, who has gone for the Thunder build, like we mentioned, looking for that earlier spike, so he's actually able to have the impact before he gets outscaled, it's just so hard for them to actually team fight into the Udyr comp. They have this huge team fighting composition with Wombo from the Vladimir and this Volibear, and all that AoE damage coming in from Tristana, and I don't think they can really contest with that unless they lay a pick on either Tristana or the Vladimir before the fight starts.
Baron's coming up in about 10 seconds. We got blue team getting some early vision on that. They're going to be clearing as they go, looking to get some pressure around that. I'm not too sure if they're going to be doing it anytime soon, but I do see that they're having eyes on this Vladimir in the top lane. See what they're going to do about it. Vladimir does have the flash.
The big question for Udyr is whether Bob Joan can match Burst Limit in the side lane right now. And I'm not 100% sure who wins. I think Bob Joan definitely has the potential to win if he plays it in, but I don't know who's going to reliably end up winning in that lane. And that's what Udyr really need right now, is for him to be able to hold that side lane so they can play the 4v4, because the 4v4 for them should nominally be better. And the Gwen is such an important part of that frontline damage for this ace comp that without her, I think they have a really hard time getting through the Volibear or even the Vladimir.
Definitely so. Photograph taking some poke from the Varus here. He almost has his mirror mana. Not quite there just yet. Still about 30 off. Landing those two abilities on Tristana, though, that gives him an instant 12, and you love to see it. He's almost online, almost 2 items. That's a pretty strong Varus. How are they going to play around it? Can they make this work?
Yeah, and Ace's lane assignments here are really just playing for pushing in the mid wave here, maybe getting vision, because Vladimir was able to take the topside tower for basically nothing, ends up getting the T1, and I guess Ace is willing to concede that, but now they're all rotating to the Baron pit. I don't think they can start this. Maybe just look for a vision or a pick.
Varus ulti going to go wide. Soximus running the other way. He's going to be running to the tower. A TP coming out from Bob Joan. The good flash from Soximus to dodge the Corki block. Getting some HP from the ulti. Photograph's going to go down over off on the side, off screen. Didn't see that one happen over there, but Bob Joan helping him out. Soximus got a few buddies with him, and they're here to help him get those kills. And that's going to be
3v2 on the map. That can be Baron for OOD here. I think they definitely can just do it right now. They have Big Twig up to sustain through it. Soximus can tank, and Bob Joan does a lot of damage right now, even with just the shield bow and a crit cloak. So they're just going to rush it down right now, and I don't think Varus and Xin can contest this, even though it can be a 50-50 with the Xin Zhao. He's so squishy, and they do have all their strong members up right now.
Definitely so. He doesn't even have ulti either. They did take Photograph down on the side. He did bust out the ulti in order to do that. Baron at 6,000. They're going to trade this one off. So Sad Sam dodging out on the Bob Joan flash Q. Bob Joan going to be get shut down by So Sad Sam. And TP from Burst Limit is going to engage this fight for Team Ace's victory on that. And they're actually going to be starting the Baron over there. Good TP from Burst Limit, turning that fight around for the better. Photographs jumping in. He said, I want some too. He's going to go down as well. That's not going to be enough. There goes his flash. There goes his heal. There goes his Baron. And there goes Team Udyr's hopes of winning game number 1 so far.
Yeah, I don't know what that was. Bob Joan with that flash into missing the Q knockup was really what kind of put the nail in the coffin for them in that fight. I think they definitely should have been favored to win that 3v2, but they just played it really poorly. And Photograph inting at the very end there ends up costing them the Mountain Dragon as well. I think they could have maybe contested it with Big Twig coming down from base at the last second, but Photograph being dead for this means it's going to be completely free over to Ace, and that puts them on both onto Soul Point and the next Dragon. It delays the Soul potential from Udyr, and I think it's so hard for them to win now because they do really need to force team fights for them to win, and they have no reason to fight them anymore.
Vesper, he's a little far, forcing the LT out of Bob Jones, though, as the rest of Team Ace is coming up to help out. Getting 420 crits on all of those back minions, it's not going to be enough to really sway anything in this fight. No fight going to start over here. Soximus going to smite the blue, and they're going to walk out of this one, giving up a dragon.
I mean, yeah, there's definitely a lot of this is coming down to Sword Blue on the Zinzao, honestly. I think we talked about kind of how strong the champion is, but he is actually able to survive quite a while in these fights with the shield bow, and even though he's not super, super tanky, he's tanky enough to get out his damage, and he does so much of it at this point that I think the Udyrs have a hard time surviving through that initial burst right now because Bob Joan is so squishy on the Yone, and Big Twig, I mean, he's really strong, but unfortunately, if the rest of his team is gone around him, then he can't do a whole lot to just kind of 1v5 the fight yet. So Udyr just really need to look to scale up at this point, wait for their carries to really come online fully. Big Twig is on the 2 items with the Death Cap and a decently stacked Dark Seal, but you really do want to be waiting for like that 4 to 5 item spike for him to really be able to solo carry these team fights if Bob Joan gets blown up. Vambian might get caught here, though. There's a chance Bob Joan can just delete him.
And he's going in for it, getting the W on the Vambian. He's doing a lot of damage, but Vambian's bursting him back. It's very close, and they're actually going to trade. That's an even trade going down on the bot lane. You love to see it. Sword Blue's getting knocked up over here. Good knockback from his ultimate is going to be enough to sway that into their favor. Big Twig and Antunes going to be going down there, traded for Sword Blue. They have Baron, and they're pushing the top lane for it.
And the Zinzao ult are doing so much work in these fights to really delay the engage onto Sword Blue. He looked like he should have just gotten blown up there, but he ends up knocking back 3 people and surviving for so long that it ends up trading 2 people back. And even though Photograph's in the mid lane pushing this in, he probably wouldn't even get the turret, and he's going to have to reset here. Udyr is definitely in a pretty rough spot now that, honestly, no one can match going on a side lane anymore, and Sword Blue really can't get bursted in these team fights unless they have Bob Joan and Big Twig both focusing him.
Soximus trying to defend his tower with all his might. He is going to get backed off, though. So much damage from So Sad Sam is going to sway him in the other direction. So
something else worth mentioning here is that one kind of hope for Udyr is that Corki did force this Divine Thunder build to be able to hit his earlier spike, and it means his later item spike is going to be a lot less effective. Normally, when Corki gets the 3 items, he gets super, super scary with that Monomune Shield Bow Essence Reaver build. But with Divine Thunder and Monomune, he's still going to do a lot of damage. Corki's just going to scale regardless, but it's not nearly as scary, and the Vladimir outscaling is going to be a lot more potent.
Vambian going straight back in after the current death from Bob Joan. He said, I want more fighting, and he's going to get it. The bear is going to go down. Udyr's running for their lives. Antunes going in for the Q, not going to hit any. He's going to lose all of his HP. Getting the tower over here. Bob Joan getting a good knock-up. He's going to E out of that one. Hoping to get out alive. Photographs caught out a little bit. Sword Blue jumping on the engage. Bob Joan's going to go down to a rocket, and they're all low. Baron is gone off of all members of Team Ace. There are no Baron empowered minions for this push, but I believe they should be able to get something off of this push.
Probably at least one inhibitor, but Udyr's managed to heal up and look on top side. If Vambian's not careful, he could get picked off, but he is playing safe enough. I don't think it's going to matter, and this will be top lane. Oh my god, Big Twig.
Big Twig's going in. Vambian did get caught by the ult, flashing out of the Tristana engage. Tristana's going to be able to clean this one up, and Tristana, very smart to avoid Corki's turnover there, because she could have gone down very easily. That's going to be a clean trade for Team Udyr. Get 3 off of the map to help defend the base, but they do lose the mid tier 3 for it.
Yeah, it's definitely worth for Udyr, though. I think that, it's unfortunate to end up losing anything on the base this early, but with the Baron falling off, they were able to defend, and honestly, all those shutdowns going over to the Vladimir is pretty massive for them. We already see what he can do. Even in that sort of 2v3 situation they had on top side, he just blows them up so quickly if he's allowed to get his abilities off, and he's now on the full Void Staff, so I mean, so much of this game is just going to come down to whether Big Twig can carry these team fights in the late game. And Photograph can definitely look to clean up as well, like he did there. But they really need to make sure they actually focus down and killed Corki and the Zen in these fights, because they're both pretty hard to lock down independently. We saw in that last fight, Corki was able to Valkyrie out of the Volibear ult and survive for a really long time, which is what ended up winning them the fight in the first place. But there wasn't able to dodge out, unfortunately. And Vladimir, I mean, doesn't really have to hit anything on you is the thing. He can kind of just run at you and press all his buttons.
Definitely so. We got Dragon coming up in about 20 seconds. That's going to be defining soul point for either team. 2 dragons apiece. This is Dragon number 5. Let's see how they could stretch this one out. Who's going to get the soul point, and who's going to be one away from getting that juicy shield.
This should be close to an even fight. Udyr are down 4,000 gold, but the scaling on is pretty favorable for them, and if no one gets picked off, I expect this to be pretty close. So we'll see what Big Twig's able to get done. He does need to get into a better position to really be able to get into the fight, and meanwhile, they might just lose the dragon before they can get in. It looks like they're going to concede it, actually.
No package from Corki, no team fight, but they are going to start it. Burst Limit's getting caught up here top lane. Burst Limit is in a bit of a sticky situation. They do get the 3rd dragon. That's 2 Mountain Drakes so far for Team A-Click. They gave up on it, and Team Ace are one dragon away from Mountain Soul. Baron coming up in 4 seconds, and they're looking to go to that immediately as well.
So this is kind of strange from Udyr. I think they're now forced to fight at Baron rather than fighting at Mountain. But they should have just fought at Mountain anyways, because now they have to fight when they have another Mountain Drake on their side, and the setup's probably worse for them in some ways. Maybe they can look for a steal with
Bob Jones coming onto the side. Volibear ulting in. Sword Blue's going to get the smite. Soximus is going to go down 4. Bob Jones. Bob Jones getting a good ulti on 5 isn't going to be enough to start anything, though, as Burst Limit is doing so much damage to Big Twig. Will the healing be enough? No, it won't. He's going to go down. Photograph with the ulti. He's going to be able to push all of them out of there, and he's going to get out alive. Oh, very barely, though.
Once he gets Valkyrie back up, Photograph will still die. This is pretty close. I think he's
Valkyrie rocket flash from Photograph is going to be enough. And Antunes is going to go down instead for him. Bob Jones and Photograph left to defend the base with all they can. One more Baron push. Will it take 2? Give Ace the first game. Bob Jones jumping on in. He's not going to do too much.
Wow, Photograph lives. Maybe they can defend, actually. Volibear's back up. There's a chance.
Tristana getting a nice shut down onto Corki. That's going to help save the game even more, as Sword Blue, Vesper, and Burst Limit are left to run away as they can. Varus coming back onto the field. They're a little bit staggered on recalls, you think?
Yeah, so I mean, make no mistake, Ace is still definitely in a position where they should win the game from here regardless of what happens, but Udyr's definitely managed to stall them out for a decent amount of time, and this does do quite a bit to get them online on these power spikes. They do have the Infinity Edge and the Shield Bow done on the Yone, and he's also working towards probably a Zeal right now to get that 100% crit before he finishes his Executioners. He might just finish the Executioners into the Immortal after he finishes the Zeal, because it's such an easy complete. And on the rest of their team, Volibear is kind of falling off, but he's still a pretty beefy frontline if he's able to get a couple more items. I'm mostly concerned just because that Photograph isn't able to do much work in these fights. He has such a hard time playing into the amount of range from the Corki and the Varus that unless they're able to pick someone off before the fight starts, it's just a lot of...
That's what they're looking to do. Vesper, oh my good lord. Popping the stopwatch already. So sad Sam and Vesper are going to be going down. But over in the side of the map...
If Burst Limit dies here, they can probably end the game. This is super scary.
Left to defend the base alone over here, as it is going to be Udyr backing off after that. Vambian getting a good trade kill on Bob Jones. Bob Jones going to take the 10 death power spike like his brother Yasuo. That's going to be his power spike right there. And we got Sword Blue going in. Sword Blue is not going to do too much, though. 1 HP, having to boss the stopwatch. Big Twig's going to take him down. Vambian is taking a low off to the side. Soximus looking to get the stun on him. They're going to finish this one off. They're going to push into the base. Will they be able to end it? They have another minion wave coming in over here. That's a ton of offense, ladies and gentlemen. And Vambian's off to the side, getting some rocket pot shots. Going to W out out of there.
Big Twitch is going to kill him if he walks in.
Definitely so. This is looking pretty good. Vesper is back up.
It's just Vesper and Sam. I don't think they can defend against
coming in too.
They have to make sure Vambian can't walk in, but there's TP on the minion under the turrets. They can look to... I think they did it.
Definitely looks like it's going to be Antunes going down to So Sad Sam, though. The tower is going to take down Photograph. They're just throwing this one back and forth, but Bob Jones is still going to stay alive. Soximus and Big Twig.
They could have probably still ended. They were super low HP bar on Vambiant there. I don't know. I think they could have finished that one out, but they end up just deciding to reset. She was scared of coming up from Sword Blue.
Definitely close. Definitely indeed. It is looking like one heck of a game, but in the top lane, those minions were left for way too long. Top tier 3 for Ace is now free, and that inhib is
doesn't really matter at this point in the game. Like, any fight is going to result in the game ending in one way or the other, so objectives don't matter outside of losing the inhib itself.
So there you have
basically the biggest thing here for Udyr is that they need to contest this dragon, and that's pretty much what's going to decide the game here. I think they should have looked to just force the end right there because that was their best chance, and now it gets much harder having to win another team fight into them at dragon, but if they can get a good setup again, then they can definitely win the fight and just win the game straight up if Big Twig is able to get into the backline. But that's such a big ask for them at this point in the game because there's so much vision set up from Ace coming into this off their reset that, I just wish they would have ended the game. We've kind of seen this from Udyr before with sort of split calls where they don't quite end the game when they probably should have. And this, to me, is another one of those situations. Not quite as clear, but we'll see what ends up happening in the team fight because this really is what's going to decide everything. They might even look to trade the dragon for the base or something if they can make some kind of crazy call happen, but
all 5 of Udyr are grouped up in the mid lane while Team Ace is grouped up in the jungle. They're looking to fight this one out. Big Twig taking very low. Bob Jones getting a knock-up on the burst limit, going to take him down to about a quarter, but isn't going to be enough. Has to ulti out of that one. Big Twig getting an ulti onto 3 is going to take him very low, but that should heal him back up to almost full. Sword Blue is taken pretty low over here.
Big
Dragon's
back up though. He is Vladimir. I mean, this fight's still really close.
This could look pretty bad for either side over here. It's a pretty even start to the fight. It's going to be Bob Jones jumping onto Vambian. Vambian's going to have to run out of that one, but Bob Jones going to have to take the L on that one. Pop the Immortal Shield Bow. Good rockets from Corky is going to take people very low. It's going to be Antunes.
Wait, Vambian's gone.
Getting the knock-up on Vambian. Big Twig going to pick that one up. Bob Jones healing off the Gromp over there. It's going to be Burst Limit getting out just barely. Soximus has the ulti.
Unless Photograph just randomly dies, then I think Udyr should just win because Big Twig's coming back from base with full HP again.
And they're going to be jumping towards the dragon over here. They're going to even it up once again. We have a maximum amount of dragons, but I don't think we're getting a soul in this game, ladies and gentlemen. This could be the game-ending fight
We're not getting a soul in this game. Someone's ending the game right now, and I think it's going to be Udyr. Vambian's dead for quite a while, and they should be able to force this down, but I mean, we'll have to see what Ace is able to mount on this defense. They are going to clear the wave, and they have supers in mid right now for Udyr, so it's going to be pretty hard for them to actually push this in or get any kind of meaningful push. So they're all going to reset. I mean, Vambi will come back up. I think Udyr definitely could have gotten more off that kill once again, but they have to play it safe, continue scaling into the game. And I don't totally mind it because we have seen what Big Twig's able to do. He's able to keep getting more items. He's done a 24-stack Majai's right now. He's working towards what I think is the Zonia's Hourglass. And he is so strong right now. Honestly, last fight was basically him just one-shotting Vambiant on the side with Antunes. And the same thing can happen at any time that Ace have to face check vision, which is what's happening right now. They get the setup on for this Baron, and I think they're just going to bait them into it and look for one-shot whoever walks in.
We got Varus off to the side, throwing pot shots as he can. This could be the final Baron of the game. Baron number 3. It's been even on both sides. In both Dragons and Barons. I don't think Udyr should have
conceded the position on this Baron. They should have stayed in the river, but they end up giving it, and so they're going to have to walk into this to fight. They popped the Locket already, and they're all getting kind of poked out. Bob Jones has to get something.
And that's going to be the start of the fight here. Volibear jumping on in, going to get some damage on So Sad Sam. So Sad Sam not going to worry about it too much as Photograph jumps in. Is going to go down to Sword Blue. Sword Blue getting a triple kill, and Corky going to sweep up the quad or sweep up the 4th one for them. Baron is not going to go over to any team at the current moment. I don't think they're going to be going for it.
They're trying to just end right now, but they end up probably having to stop because they have to base for the defense because they're trying to split to prevent them from ending. And they end up TPing to the top lane after Abyssal Voyaging mid. I don't know what the call was there. I think they wanted to clear the wave so they couldn't get backdoored, but I'm not convinced. They don't have a wave in mid. They have a wave in top, but the inhib's still up. It's going to take them a little while to end this. There's 20 seconds in everyone, and Vesper's going to die. I think Soximus can get the reset in here if he kills Vesper and maybe live long enough.
Ooh, very barely getting out of there. Vesper, oh my goodness gracious, they're able to do it.
The recall.
After a very questionable game, ladies and gentlemen, game number 1 is going to be going to A-Click in a astounding victory of a lot of blood bash, even objectives. Goodness, what? I'm so confused. But
that was a weird
that's going to be game number 1 for Team A-Click. Starting it off strong, Team Ace already 1-0 on over Udyr rather. It's a very good start to this game. I'm so confused on what happened that game. So much gold being delivered on each different side. Both teams had all the chances of winning. Corky and Vladimir, both mid laners, leading the charge in damage. I'm not surprised to see that whatsoever because Vambiant did a lot of work in those fights. But I'm just so many after misplay after misplay. That's one heck of a start to the series, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I don't even know what to make of that game. It was really bizarre. I think Ace definitely were in a position where they should have just straight up won after the early game, but then they threw pretty hard back to Udyr, and then Udyr should have definitely ended the game, but they just didn't win, so then Ace just cleaned up on them, and I don't even know. I don't think this game told me anything about which team is actually going to win this series. I feel like Ace has shown they're more than capable of throwing games that are completely won, and Udyr is more than capable of not winning games when they should. So we'll have to see what happens in game 2, I guess.
That's going to wrap up game number 1, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations to Team A-Click for taking game number 1. Don't go anywhere because after a short intermission, we will be ready for game number 2, and we are excited to see where it's going to go. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you then.